सृष्टि के ज्ञाता हो, वरदानों के दाता हो। तुम सृष्टि के ज्ञाता हो, वरदानों के दाता हो। हम तुमको पाकर पाए, हम तुमको पाकर पाए, गति सदगति उपहार। महिमा अपरंपार, तेरी महिमा अपरंपार। महिमा अपरंपार, तेरी महिमा अपरंपार। मेरे परम पिता परमात्मा, ओंकारेश्वर सर्वेश्वर, मुक्तिदाता मुक्तेश्वर। ओंकारेश्वर सर्वेश्वर, मुक्तिदाता मुक्तेश्वर। जीवन नैया सबकी करते, जीवन नैया सबकी करते, भवसागर के पार। महिमा अपरंपार, तेरी महिमा।
Om Shanti, everyone, and welcome to today's master class of the United Yoga Bhatti. We are very fortunate to have with us today Sister Sudha, who will be sharing on the yogi life of Jagdishbhai. And we also have as our guest Brother Neville, who will be sharing his experience. Just have a few announcements before we get started. There have been some updates on our website, so a lot of the information that you're looking for is available on sustenance.brahmakumaris.org. We're all gathering from many countries around the world every day for 15 minutes on YouTube to meditate together, and thank you so much for sharing your experiences with us. And we've been receiving emails with beautiful experiences, and we thought that we should open it up on the website so that everyone can share their experiences and read others' experiences. So the forum has been reopened on the website, and we'd love to hear from you how your meditation experiences have changed over the last few weeks. And with last update is we are also sending the link for the meditations on WhatsApp now. We are doing our best to group the WhatsApp by time zone, so you're not receiving messages at 1 a.m. your time. They are only one-way messages, so there will not be an opportunity for others to reply. So we're only sending daily the link and information on the Bhatti. If you'd like to join a website, a WhatsApp group, just give us an email or a message and we'll get you joined there. So I'd like to welcome Sister Shireen so she can proceed.
Om Shanti. Thank you, Helen. Om Shanti. Welcome, Sister Sudha, and welcome.
Thank you.
We are very happy to have you, and we are looking forward to hearing about Brother Jagdish. So for many of us double foreigners who have come after 2001, we only know Brother Jagdish through his books and his classes. which is a lot actually to know a person, especially his classes. His intellect is very much present, but we would like to hear your personal experience of how he practiced yoga, how he remembered Baba, what were your when you saw him in his life, what were his specialties that made him so close to Baba, that Baba spoke about him in the Murli so much. The other thing, just a very brief announcement, is we are also going to send a survey. I don't know if Helen mentioned this, and that survey, if all of you could fill out. But before and back to the brother Jagdish, before we hear Sister Sudha speak about brother Jagdish, we have a video of him. Helen, please play the video.
दादियों ने कहा और पांडवों ने माना, ये बहुत अच्छी बात है। जब भी बुलाए हाजी हाजी। नवीनता के निमित्त बनना, हाथ से कोई ना कोई कार्य के लिए निमित्त बनते आए। बाप दादा द्वारा की विशेषता की दिल में महिमा करते रहते। हाथ से निमित्त बने हो, हाथ से सेवा की, इसलिए अभी फिर और कोई नई इन्वेंशन निकालेंगे। सबका आपसे प्यार है, होली में नाम आता है ना, नाम आता है ना आपका बाबा, तो सभी का अटेंशन जाता है, सभी का अटेंशन जाता है। अभी बाप दादा जो भी महारथी बैठे हैं ना, सभी महारथियों को कौन सी सेवा करनी है, बता दे। आप लोगों की सेवा है, वाइब्रेशंस द्वारा आत्माओं को समीप लाना।
बाबा को प्यार करो, बैठ सकते हो। देखो भाई कौन
We can hear you now, Sister Sudha.
Okay. Om Shanti. Uh, First of all, let me say you thank you for making this collection of meetings of Brother Jagdish with Avyak Bab Dada, and this last line, Om Jai Jagdish Hare, wonderful. Thank you so much. Uh, Keeping the time in my mind, I tried to note down certain points which I would like to share now about Jagdishbhai Sahab. So I will time and again look at my paper. So when I think about Brother Jagdish, an image of a dignified Raj Yogi comes in front of me. Many times he used to say that no matter how many titles or how much higher a status or position you get, but there is no higher title or a higher status than a Raj Yogi. He was not after any titles or status symbols. For him, that he was a Raj Yogi, this was the greatest thing. Many VKs know, who have met him in Shaktinagar, that his room was all in one for him. It was his bedroom, his office, his meeting room, his counseling room, everything, everything. Very simple, very, very simple, and very dedicated to Baba's task. He was a Raj Yogi. His food was very simple and very little in quantity, like Raj Yogis. I remember that he used to say that pickles are not in the category of sattvic food. He did not allow us to take any pickle except for the lemon pickle, and that too without oil, because of some health problem, something wrong with the stomach or something like that. And otherwise he didn't allow us to take any pickle. He said it is not sattvic. And there was no question of any chilies used in the food. He never took chili, and we also never used to take any chili. He didn't allow that too. One of the things he used to say is that when you are taking your food, after you have finished the food, don't sit, don't keep sitting around the dining table for a long time. Because if you keep sitting and talking, there will be something on the table, and you just, without noticing, you will pick up something and put in your mouth. This will be called that you do not have control over your senses. Even if you are not hungry, you just take something and put it in your mouth. So he used to say that when you have finished your food, you should free the table and go away somewhere, even if you have to talk to somebody and so on. And so therefore, like a Raj Yogi, he used to not only practice himself to have that full control over the senses, he used to teach us also, who were the center residents. And I have heard many times in the classes also in Madhuban, when he used to advise like that for, give this advice for everyone. He also taught us to keep our word. I remember from my very young age, when I started, doing different kinds of services with him, he was very, very particular about time and about the word. If he used to give me something to do and will ask me that how much time it will take for you to do, and I will give him that time. For example, I will say by 11 o'clock, I will finish this task. For him, 11 meant 11. It did not at all mean 11:05. 11 means 11. That means I should be so focused. I should train my mind and intellect to remain focused. It should not run here and there when I am doing my work. And so he was like that. He was quite focused, when he was doing, and his room was always on the top floor, just alone, and he will remain focused. And so this is one of the qualities of Raj Yogis whose subtle powers and sense organs are under his control. And that is what I observed in the life of Brother Jagdish. Baba gave him this title Sanjay, one who has far-sighted intellect. The efforts of Brother Jagdish showed that he wanted to make Baba's vision of him as Sanjay a reality. He used to get up quite early in the morning at about 2 o'clock and then come down at 3:30 for Amrit Vela with all of us, center residents. He will, while coming down, when he will pass through the second floor, he was on the third floor. When he passed through the second floor, he will knock the doors of our rooms in case we are sleeping. And he will make it sure that all of us are in the hall before 4 o'clock. And if somebody was a little, careless or lazy about it, so he would, in a very yukti way, tell that person that it is your duty to play the music, go and play the music before Amrit Vela. And turn by turn, the duty was given to sit in front and give drishti to all. He will keep sitting all the time till the Amrit Vela continued. And we were quite young sisters, and he will ask turn by turn to us to give drishti. He made this very, very sure that we learn how to practice good stage of yoga. And we could see from his eyes how deeply he was absorbed in Baba's remembrance. Very, very deeply. Sometimes he used to conduct yoga himself and even individually. He used to make us sit in some room and give drishti for a long, long time so that we will have a very good experience of yoga. I remember this, that when the services in Russia began, at that time we were staying in a very small flat. He came, he was here, and so a very small room in which he stayed. And so he asked some BKs to come at Baba's home, at this Baba's flat. And so one by one, every BK was going to his room for 5 minutes. He was giving them drishti individually. He wanted to give them that experience of yoga because he deeply believed it, that once this experience of yoga will come, then the soul will not shake at all, no matter how many storms of Maya come, how many difficulties the soul has to face, but the soul will remain very, very strong. So he, gave particular attention to this practice himself, and also enabled us, made us to practice and have good experience of yoga. One more thing, like when we say Sanjay, so the far-sighted intellect, so he could clearly see the abilities of the soul, even if the soul will not realize that I have such abilities. He could clearly see the abilities of the soul with his far-sighted intellect, and very often tell Dadiji about this or that soul, that Dadi, this soul will be of quite, useful for this or that kind of service. I remember my own example, it was probably in 1970. uh, I was 17 years maybe of age. I had started already certain services with him. And once I was, he gave me some work to do. And I went back to his room to give this task, to give these papers back to him. He was taking lunch with Dadi Gulzar. It was at that time Kamla Nagar Center. And he, while addressing to Dadi, then said, he used to address her as Gulzar Behan. He said, Gulzar Behan, see this young Kumari. So today she's a young Kumari, and there will be a time, when he said that she will shine like light in the sky. I very much actually wish to fulfill this hope. And, he could see probably some specialities in every soul and how to use those specialities. And because he had that far-sighted intellect, and probably he got this intellect because of his love for Baba, his faith in Baba, his yoga with Baba. Now, another thing which I would like to tell here is that he was full of love and respect for Baba. Full of love and respect for Baba. There's so many stories. I'll tell you a couple of things here. During the evening class with all center nivasis, very often he used to ask us to repeat after him these words: Meethe Baba, Ladle Baba, Sikila de Baba. So he will repeat, say with me, Meethe Baba, Ladle Baba, Sikila de Baba. Probably by making us repeat this, maybe I remember that probably we didn't feel it to that level as he must have been saying it, but he still wanted to repeat this, probably wanting to instill in us that love for Baba. He valued Baba's versions from the core of his heart, and he wanted to take us also, in the depth of Baba's versions by trying to make us learn to read between the words and the phrases which are printed on the paper. And for that, he used to ask questions and questions after questions from one point to make our intellects realize the depth of Baba's words and not just read them. I consider really myself to be very fortunate, having learned from him how to read and understand Baba's Murli. So he himself used to go in that depth, and this is why he could instill, at least in me, I can understand that depth of Baba's Murli. And I love Baba's Murli so much. Whenever I read the Murli, I am from my very heart thankful to him. And then another thing about his love for Baba and respect for Baba, it was visible when he used to distribute to the whole class toli from a small box, which he brought from Madhuban after, Avek Babdada's meeting. From Baba's tray, a small box of toli was given to him, and he will bring that box and will tell Chakradhari Didi that today I want to give toli to the whole class. And we used to think that there is a big box because the class was very big. But actually it was not a big box. It is just a small box. And so we will say, but it is so small. The toli is so little. Probably it is not so good that all the Brahmins will stand in a big queue to take little toli. Then he used to look at us and used to say, you don't yet understand its value. And I remember that with how much bhavana he used to give this story to everyone. This was so little, like, small balls of homeopathic medicine. Very little, very, very little. And every Brahmin will come, will wait for his turn in front of him. He will sit on the gaddi, and everybody will take this stoli, and he will say that this is the true Mahaprasad, which was directly offered to God. And it is from that we have this chance, this golden chance to get this Mahaprasad, which was offered to God. So he was full of that love and respect for Baba, for Baba's yagya, for Baba's food, for everything what belonged to Baba. Then Baba also called him Ganesh. It is said that Buddhi and Siddhi, Buddhi is intellect, though it is not very accurate translation of Buddhi. Buddhi and Siddhi, Siddhi is generally translated as success, but again, it is not very accurate translation. I don't know what will be the accurate translation. It is Siddhi, you say and it is done, just like that. So it is said that Buddhi and Siddhi are the companions of Ganesh. And so how did this happen? I remember the Murli of 16th April, when Shiv Baba spoke about Brahma Baba, that how Brahma Baba gave all the rights to Shiv Baba to use him as he wants, and how he wants, and when he wants. I feel that Brother Jagdish did the same. He gave all rights to Shiv Baba to use him as and how Baba wants. And he himself, Brother Jagdish, used to feel that he has all rights over Baba. He used to use this word hujjat. He used to say, I have hujjat, I have full right over Baba. And if this task is to be done, Baba will have to get this task done. He had so much of feeling of right over Baba that there was nothing impossible for him. The word impossible just did not exist for him. If Baba will give him some task, and so his buddhi, he will get some such touchings that the impossible things will become possible. There are so many stories about it, and I know that many of you know those stories, and maybe some don't know, of course, but they are really wonderful stories, how the impossible things became possible because of this buddhi which he got from Baba, and siddhi as a result of this dedication that he gave Baba all the rights to use him as Baba wants and when he wants. We all also know many stories that how Baba tested Brother Jagdish very well. From the very beginning, Baba tested his faith, his obedience in different ways, and Brother Jagdish was always ahead in this aspect too. Baba had Baba has kept sisters and mothers in front. Brother Jagdish had a lot of respect and high vision for sisters. No matter how young they were, he had very high vision for them. He used to appreciate and encourage them to create self-confidence in them. I remember when a letter had to be written to be sent to some authorities, he would write the letter, get it printed, and then come to Chakradhari Didi for taking the signature. Didi will take the pen and she was just ready to put her signs, put her signatures. He will stop her and say, no, not like this. First give drishti to this letter, and then put your signature. So he wanted to bring Baba in every smallest, minutest task. And this was probably his yoga. He brought Baba in every task, how minute it may be. And for everything, he used to do like that. So if we are going somewhere and if we are in a hurry, he will still stop us to say, no, not like this. First go to Baba's room. Even for a second, say to Baba that you are going. So he would not allow us to go just like that. And so he would used to bring Baba in every task. And so this was his stage of yoga. When I came to Russia first time in 1989, I remember that I had 80 kilograms of baggage with me, and my own body weight was much less than that. And so he used to come to the airport to drop us and to see us off, and himself used to take the trolley of the luggage, put the luggage on the belt, and so on and so forth. And he used to do it for many years till we got that self-confidence that we can do it ourselves. So much of respect he had for Baba's task and the sisters. Because the time is running, I would like to quickly say two more things. One of the main teachings of Baba for his Raj Yogi children is maintaining balance. Jagdishbhai was the embodiment of that. On one hand, everybody, when he will look at him from a distance, most of us used to feel that he's quite serious. But at the same time, he was very humorous, very humorous. And there were many other balances, but I would like to tell you this one last thing about this balance of seriousness and being humorous. I will tell you one experience of his last but one visit to Russia in year 2000. During the farewell program, Brother Jagdish was to say at the end few words of blessings and good wishes and give some advice for further progress and so on and so forth. After after speaking few words of good wishes and blessings, he then said to the whole class, the class was full, there were hundreds of people, and said, look, how much I love you all. How much I love you all. I have sent my right hands to you. And so he began to describe and that this and that and so on. And then all, of course, applauded. And after this applause stopped, Brother Jagdish still had the mic in his hand. After a pause, he said that now I am taking them back. And the whole gathering in one voice, loudly, very loudly, as if shouted, no! And then he began to laugh and said, look, you love them more than me. You have given me farewell and you want me to go and you do not want them to leave. So you love them more than me. And after that, he laughed and laughed and laughed. And of course, the whole gathering also laughed with those, tears of love and happiness in their eyes. So this was in short about my experience, about what I would like to say about Brother Jagdish Raj Yogi's life. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti, Sudhadidi. Such a beautiful, heartfelt sharing from you. I never had the opportunity to meet Brother Jagdish in real life, but your sharing took me there. It's almost as if I got the experience firsthand. So thank you so much. At this moment, we'd like to welcome Brother Neville to share briefly his experience with Brother Jagdish, and we will have the meditation with you shortly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Om Shanti, Neville. Bye.
This is Neville. I enjoyed listening to Sister Sudha very greatly. It was such a pleasure to remember Jagdishbhai. My memory of him was of a huge intellectual with a vast range of knowledge. We used to joke with him when he came to London that he had 10 brains. He didn't mind. He found that he enjoyed the joke. But he was always extremely kindly towards me. I became a Brahmin at a later age, and I already had a career and a family, and he was very kindly and tolerant towards my weaknesses. I remember we were once at an event in Chennai, and I tried in a cultural program doing a mind reading exercise, and with him I couldn't make it work, and it knocked me back quite a lot, but he came afterwards to reassure me that everything was fine. He was so sweet. With his lectures in Madhuban, he'd sometimes say, I've got 20 points that I want to share with you, and an hour and a half would go by, we'd still be riveted, and he would only have got to point 2. He was like this. He was extremely funny. But as Sudhadidi was pointing out, he also had this yogi's power to read another person, not kind of mind reading, but he was able to read your feelings, what was going on in you, what your strengths might be. And once he attended a conference on science and consciousness in Olympia, Greece, and at that he at the end of it, just through his association with the 6 or 8 of us BKs who'd been working on that, he gave a kind of readout of each one of us, which was extraordinarily accurate. I really admired that, and I wondered, where did that come from? And Sudhadidi was saying it was because he had this far-reaching intellect. He was serious. The knowledge that he acquired was for the protection of the yagya. I think that was really his central role. Although he had all this information in his head, he only used it for the sake of defending and promoting Gyan and the understandings being taught by the Brahmakumaris. So he had an enormous amount of knowledge of science, but he would only cite that for the sake of demonstrating the validity of what he was learning from Baba through Raja Yoga. And he was tough. He wasn't really interested in dialogue. There was an occasion when he came to a conference in Cologne, and I remember that he wrote out the conclusions of the conference before it had even started. He had just that total faith that Baba's Gyan is what the world needs to hear. He wasn't interested in kind of hearing speculations by people who didn't have that deep yoga and understanding as he knew it. So his role was a kind of putting up, in some ways, a wall around the movement so that the beauty and delicacy of this new sapling of understanding wouldn't be destroyed by the world, which otherwise would be very, very harsh towards sisters who, to sort of worldly sense, were not being understood by the wider world. He did live in a very austere way, and actually I think right at the end, he was told off somewhat by Bapdada for not having taken adequate care of his body. But in his last 2 years, He was completely filled with love. It was so much love that he shared with everyone. And his yoga was demonstrated. I visited him just shortly before he died, and he was in the intensive care unit at the newly opened global hospital. He was very shortly away from leaving the body, but he'd called everybody in for a kind of service meeting in the intensive care unit just to make sure that his plans were understood and that service would continue. I know that he was offered a liver transplant because the cause of his leaving the body at a relatively young age was that his liver had packed up. But when he made this offer, when he received this offer, he refused it. He had no fear of death. He knew that the soul would move on, and that he would also have I'm quite sure he would have moved into a beautiful role now. So this was also a consequence of his understanding the yoga in a very deep way, completely integrated into his being, not just as a point of knowledge. I'm sure he'll be a different person now, of course, but I would love to know who and where he is now, because it would just be so wonderful to reconnect and know that he'd got the reward for living a life of such dedication at a crucial time for in those early Yagya years. Om Shanti.
एक सेकंड में अपने पूर्वज स्टेज पे आए। परमधाम निवासी बाप के साथ साथ लाइट हाउस पर विश्व को लाइट दे सकते हो। तो एक सेकंड में सभी चारों
Baba wants us to deeply realize our responsibility towards the souls of the whole world. Let us come in that awareness of being an ancestor soul. I, the soul, directly connected to the seed, have the possibility to help the souls of the world. I am with Almighty Baba in Paramdham. In the stage of light and might. Baba's light, Baba's might is reaching me and to the whole world. I am light. I am might. I am full of love and mercy for all the souls. These rays of light and might, love and power are reaching the souls and giving them hope and courage. I can see the sparkle in their eyes. I am with my Baba in Paramdham. lighthouse and lighthouse.
ज्योति बिंदु परम